Our subconscious mind is like a sponge. It absorbs everything in its path. So, since our emotions, our beliefs, and our memories are stored subconsciously, it benefits our physical or our emotional and our mental health to consciously and continually put positive and empowering messages in the path of our subconscious mind. So, what does it mean to imprint something? So, to imprint something in its verb form means to make an impression or to have an effect. So your subconscious mind is also being imprinted with the things coming in through your senses. So remember that your subconscious mind is absorbing information constantly and drawing conclusions and forming beliefs based on that information. So if your daily environment is filled with negativity, with strife, with images, that are just negative. So imagine what kind of messages are being sent or absorbed into your mind. So on the flip side of that, if you're surrounded by an environment that's peaceful, that's clean, that's organized, your mind will respond accordingly. So when I say your environment, like what am I talking about? What I mean is pretty much anything that is not inside of your mind. Basically what's outside of you. And most things that are outside of you can be perceived by your five senses. Examples include your house, the rooms in it, the place where you work, the people in your life, places that you go. You get my drift. So pretty much anything outside of you. Adjusting your internal environment to your desired mental state. I'm sorry, adjusting your external environment to your desired mental state will adjust your internal state. So, to simplify this whole concept, make sure that your environment fits the mental state that you desire. If that is a clean and positive state you desire, make sure that your external environment reflects that. So, here are some simple ways to apply this. Keep your rooms that you're frequently in, keep them organized and clean. There's science that proves that making your bed in the morning can make you happier. If you were in the military, you have a habit of doing this already because of a parent or just an innate knowledge, then you're already getting the benefits of this already. This is a requirement in the military and it carries over into the civilian world for most. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. If you give, it will give you a small sense of pride and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another. And by the end of the day, that one task will have turned into many tasks completed. So consistently declutter and vacuum your carpets or sweep your or and mop your floor if you have hardwood floor. Make it a habit of washing your dishes as soon as you finish using them. Um, Things will become more automatic as you do them. Like for example, I had a bad habit of like leaving dishes in the sink. So what I started to do was to wash them as soon as I finished using them. And what happened was it became such a habit. I remember this one particular time being over my sister's house, and all my family was over there, and we finished eating, and I was in the kitchen about to start doing the dishes, and I like literally had to stop myself, like, hold on, bro, like you're not, what I'm saying, like this isn't the time to do the dishes, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I had programmed myself so much that it was automatic. So some people may think that these things are not that deep or beneficial, but it's only when you actually do them that you'll recognize the benefits. So productivity is not even mentionable if you're in a dirty and unorganized environment. So there is research that shows that while a messy environment might produce more creativity, a clean and organized environment produces better focus. So this practice does not take that long, and the benefits far outweigh the time that it takes. So clean those dishes as soon as you use them. Clean those papers off your desk. Get rid of that clothes mound that you have by your bed, and clear up the space in your environment, which will correspond. Talk about the principle of correspondence here with the uh, space in your mind. So, and I want to add one extra tip here. If everything has a place, it's much easier to keep your environment clean. Like if you have a place for your keys, a place for your wallet, a place for um your clothes. You know what I mean? Your uh just anything. If everything has a place, it's much easier to keep the environment clean. A lot of times it's just when things don't have a place, they're just there. So next, the places that you visit frequently will define your character. So I'm going to go over an example. Now, this example is not set in stone, as everyone's definition of success is different. But we're going to use the parameters of someone who really wants something different in their life. However, they haven't found a motivation to move in that direction. So let's use the example of a working man. You know what I'm saying? He works wherever he works. And after work, he's a regular at your local bar. You know what I'm saying? After work, he's a regular at your local strip club. You know what I'm saying? He's always on the lookout for the next party. You know what I'm saying? He's looking forward to getting pissy drunk. You know what I'm saying? Most of his friends either use hard drugs or maybe they smoke all the time and that's all they do. Now if in the back of this man's mind he desires something different than his current situation, then he could be considered unsuccessful. You know what I'm saying? If he considers himself to be a success, then he's successful. You know what I'm saying, in his mind, and you know what I mean. He doesn't need to change. But if he knows in the back of his mind, like, hey man, I could be doing something different or something better, then he will be considered at that moment unsuccessful. You know what I'm saying? So he wastes his money on women at the strip club. You know what I'm saying? He abuses drugs, which more harm to his body than good. And because he's always out, he never gives himself enough time to sit back and reflect. You know what I'm saying? Maybe pick up a book or something. So this same man will probably complain about always being broke, probably complain about not being in the state of health that he wants, probably complain about how other people are making more money and he feels like slighted because he feels like he works harder than them. So he's not only unsuccessful in his mind, but he also knows that he is not ignorant to why he is not unsuccessful. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows why, you know. So let's take a look at another example, right? And like I said, these things are subjective. So, the reason I say that is because let's just say you're a party promoter, for instance. It actually benefits you to be at parties all the time. You know what I'm saying? If you're some sort of a wine connoisseur or something, it would probably benefit you to be in places where wine is like all the time. You know what I mean? Like if not condoning this, but if you sell weed, like you'll probably be around people who smoke weed and sell weed all the time. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, this is all subjective. You know what I mean? But if you have a different desired state than the current state that you're in, but you're doing the undesirable things, then you might want to consider changing your environment. So right. So let's continue. Let's look at an example of a different man. This man, he works as well. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Now, when he gets off of work, he might go to a bookstore. He might go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? He might, in his off time, go to conferences or events that align with his life work. You know what I'm saying? He associates with people that are on that same path. You know what I mean? And he just pretty much avoids the places that the other guy goes to. Not because it's necessarily bad, but because that doesn't align with where he's trying to go in life. So in his mind, that man would be considered successful because he's doing the things that he wants to do that's moving him in the direction that he wants to go. So one thing that can and will happen, I promise you this, is that on your way to success, you will have to make sacrifices. And those sacrifices include people. You know what I mean? Maybe family, maybe friends, maybe some of the entertainment that you used to enjoy. But that delay of gratification is what's necessary for people who are mainly successful to get to where they want to go. So most of them had to focus and hone in and cut out a lot of things that they were getting into. So the next thing is to be aware of what you consume. And what do I mean by consume? What do I mean by consumption? Of course, I am talking about food. However, this consumption I'm talking about applies to many things. So your consumption is not limited to what goes into your mouth and your nose. I also mean the things that you hear, the things that you see, what you're touching, what's touching you, or who's touching you. I'm saying all of these things, all of these senses are consuming. You're consuming all of the time. So what you consume is what's taking root in your subconscious mind. What type of products and services you purchase, what type of entertainment do you partake in? You know what I'm saying? What do you watch? What do you listen to? All these things are programming you and will manifest in your subconscious and will manifest in your life. So here's a passage that I want to share with y'all from a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murray. Every thought or action which is not harmonious, whether through ignorance or design, will result in discord or limitations of all kinds. So, we're going to next explore some examples of consumption. So we will start with the obvious, and that is the food we eat and what we drink. And a lot of people are aware of this, so I'm not going to insult y'all intelligence or anything like that. But the subconscious will make a habit out of anything. So another thing that happens when you do something for an extended period of time is that the subconscious will think that this activity is important. This is how cravings are created. So it doesn't matter what you eat, the mind will just make it important. And it will send signals to your conscious mind that this is important, so we need to eat more of it or drink more of it. So if you've made a habit of eating healthy foods, then the subconscious thinks it's important. It will send a message to your conscious mind to eat more of that. So the opposite is true for unhealthy foods. So your media intake, the same with food. When you intake media of any kind, it's taking root and it's growing in the garden of your subconscious mind. Your patterns of thinking, your emotions, the way you feel are all being affected by that media that you intake regularly. So, is what you're listening to putting you in a negative state or the state that is undesirable? Your internal state will be affected in a certain way if you're taking in music that is angry, that is full of dread, that is pessimistic or negative. And I'm not even saying any of that is particularly bad. What I mean is just be intentional with the media. So, for instance, music that is angry may be beneficial if, say, for instance, you training for a fight, or I mean, you about to lift some heavy weights, and you want to get that anger flowing to go ahead and throw that weight up. So I don't necessarily think that these things are bad. I just think they should be used intentionally and maybe not extended. Um, However, like I said, done intentionally for uh extended periods of time could have you in a negative mood and you don't even know why. I mean, you could be sad, you could be angry, you could be depressed, and you have no idea why. And now that you realize this, you could possibly have come to the realization that all of the media that you've been taking in falls under those category of the undesirable states. So if the state that you desire is different, then something's going to have to change. Unless you're fine where you're at, of course, then continue to consume the undesirable state. And this is not to say that you have to cut off all undesirable media, but you should keep the intake low if you want your internal state to be transmuted. So, our thoughts, moods, and feelings are highly affected, especially by things like music, movies, and TV shows. So, this is a well known fact. Scary movies can induce fear, emotional movies can make us cry or emotional, and when we're filled with excitement, we're probably usually watching an action movie. So these media avenues are designed to invoke an emotional response or evoke an emotional response. So much so that if they don't do this, then they're considered failures. So you know the feeling when one of your favorite movies, I mean, is brought up. Like I know a few of my favorite movies is like John Wick or like Tombstone. I mean, you bring those movies up, man, like I get all types of good feelings because those are some of my favorite movies. I mean, um, or your favorite song come on. I mean, when your favorite song come on, I don't really need to explain much here. You know how it feels. That's your shit. That's your jam. I mean, so here's a quote from the actor Johnny Depp. He says that music touches emotionally where words can't. So just an example of a artist who's actor, but telling you that about music. You know what I'm saying? So artists of all types, their number one goal is to evoke an emotional response in their audience. So here are some passages from the book that I mentioned before, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, by Joseph Murphy, and he mentions this idea. So the passage goes, if the news disturbs you, it is your evil because your negative emotions robbed you of peace and harmony. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna explain it. You'll get it after I explain it. Here's another passage from the same book. A man goes into a rage when he reads the what certain newspaper columnists write in the newspaper. His constant reaction of anger and suppressed rage on his part brought on bleeding ulcers. So the part that stands out here is the mention not of the news itself, but the evil inside of the negative emotions that were evoked that robs the individual of their peace and harmony. So you may say, well, I didn't rob myself of the peace and harmony, the media did. No, all the media did was send a signal. You, uh, most likely through your perception, but even if it wasn't through the perception, you felt a certain way. Now, after you get those feelings, you kind of then have a decision on how you're going to react. Now, most of us who are untrained or don't really practice this that often, we don't. There is no, there's no filter. Let me put it that way. There's just I feel this way, I act. You know what I'm saying? But for those of us who are a little bit more conscious aware, we know that we can see something, we can perceive it, but we have the choice to decide how we're going to take this information in. So, um, the negative emotions that were evoked that rob the individual of their peace and harmony, it is how we perceive the media that affects us as well. You can make the decision to allow the media to mess with your state or not. The media is not the problem. It should be made to inspire the listener to evoke different emotions, or it would not be successful. However, it's up to you what kind and how much of that media that you're going to consume and the intention that you set on how you're going to interpret it. So we pretty much, especially nowadays, we consume media all day, especially with the evolution of technology. Um, so in order to maintain the desired state, be aware of your media intake and adjust accordingly. And as I say with everything, balance is the key to everything. Negative media should be kept at a minimum and used intentionally if possible. So, next, be conscious of what you purchase. So, as a collective, we become more materialistic. Thought patterns of the youth and societal demands have changed today. Factors that are increasing materialism include social media, brand consciousness, self centeredness, fake personality development, and the desire to be socially accepted. Delayed gratification has been reduced monumentally. You can pretty much order anything at the click of a button. And I do mean anything. Our patterns of buying have totally changed. Those born between 1965 and 1976, also known as baby boomers, know this especially. A lot of thought used to go into purchasing a product in the baby boomers upcoming. For millennials or those born from 1977 to 1995, and Gen Zs born from 1977 to 2012, such as myself, well, I was born between 77 and 95. But we can, man, we push that button and boom, we got our product, our service, or information. We go on Amazon, it's here. If you got Amazon Prime, probably the next day. You know what I mean? Uh, if you need to look up some information, boom, Google. You don't even, who needs the library? You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking to, I'm just making an example. But so we're less likely to take a good look at the product as well, or like really, excuse me, really examine the product for its essential value. So there's also that feeling of inclusion that is motivating a lot of our spending patterns, as well as the fear of missing out. And you can follow the money trail of someone's purchases and be able to tell a lot about their character, um, of the person, as well as the likely outcome of their lives. So next, I'll give an example of a list of a successful person and an unsuccessful one. And keep in mind, again, that this is subjective with a capital S. I'm saying because this all depends on a variety of factors, and no one's definition of success is the same. All right. So the um, shopping list of an unsuccessful person, right? So we got expensive clothes that they can't afford. You know what I'm saying? The latest technology, not for its functionality, but just to keep up with what everybody else has. I mean, drugs and alcohol, and like I said, this one applies to addicts. I mean, having a little smoke every now and then, having a drink every now and then, I don't think it's a problem, but addiction is a whole nother thing. Unhealthy foods in excess, and just shit you don't need, that has no use. In excess, of course. You know what I'm saying? Subscriptions that you don't even use nor plan to use, or subscriptions that you can't afford. All right, so that's the end of that shopping list. Now we'll move to the shopping list of a successful person. Regular unbranded clothing that you can afford, until you're able to afford those brands. You know what I mean? Or at least the brands that you can afford without completely altering your lifestyle. You know, books, educational subscriptions, healthy foods, products for personal development. So a successful person knows that their consumption patterns define their character and make sure that they consume what aligns with the desired state that they want to be in. So the next thing is staying on top of your appearance. Final thing. So your subconscious is also affected by the way you feel about your personal appearance. Your clothing and grooming affect the way you feel. You can't afford to be unproductive, uncomfortable, self conscious, or full of self doubt. So, a positive personal appearance is a fast and effective way to boost self confidence and overcome anxiety, regardless of ability or acceptance. So your ability to keep friends you have and or make new friends also has a lot to do with the upkeep of your appearance, and God forbid you lose friends because of your appearance, and those losses can affect your mentality negatively and program your subconscious in an undesirable way. So, you know, get that haircut. You know, women, keep your hair did, nails, whatever y'all got to do to feel good about your appearance. Do that. I mean, take a shower. You know, obvious stuff that maybe some people is not so obvious, but yeah, staying on top of your appearance is going to have a large effect on your subconscious mind.